And we're back with the two-door Tahoe. This is going to be part 5. If you haven't seen any of the previous videos, I'll put a card in the top right hand corner right here so you can go to the very first one. Each video is pretty interesting within itself, and then you'll be all caught up to date on the truck. So we're going to go ahead and start where we left off with the last video. You guys saw that we had the incorrect ball joint for this car, so I did go on Rock Auto's website and we ordered the correct type of ball joint. If you remember correctly, the lower ball joint that was supplied in the kit for this truck was a press-in ball joint, but this car does not use press-in ball joints. It uses the ones that get bolted in. So Rock Auto is our savior once again. Got 2 brand new ball joints. Now, I showed you guys this stuff in a previous video, but in case you don't remember, let me show you the condition of the upper and lower ball joint as well as the tie rods. That's pretty crazy, right? And the front right side is exactly the same, if not worse. I know what you're thinking. Yes, this bad boy does handle like it's on rails. So I want to start with the upper control arm. One thing I don't know is if I were to disconnect the ball joint from the knuckle right here, you know, with the pressure of the torsion bar, if it's going to want to try to pull all of this stuff down just by disconnecting this ball joint. I'm not sure if like the shock absorber would hold everything. I don't know, but I'm going to play it safe. Typically what you do is use your floor jack like I'm about to do right now and raise up the lower control arm to take the pressure off of this ball joint, and then we'll slowly release it. All right, so it looks like this is going to be a 12 mil down here. Now the actual bolt itself, I'm using a 13, but I don't think it's a 13. These things might be a standard size because the 12 doesn't fit and a 13 is a little bit loose, but it doesn't matter. All this stuff's getting replaced. And I think this harness is actually damaged somewhere. And I think that's part of the reason on why this car keeps setting an ABS code for the front left wheel. I think I saw it somewhere, I can't remember where. Let's get this cotter pin out from down here, remove the nut, and hopefully this ball joint breaks free easily. I've got the Knipex side cutters right here. I'm gonna go ahead and cut this zip tie that's holding on the harness. And you can see I got the cotter pin kind of sticking out a little bit. This is my preferred way of removing these things. Just get a grip on them, and then you use something metal on the truck to get leverage and just kind of pull it right out. I'd say that works about 60% of the time. All right, so I just took a wild guess here. I grabbed the 26 mil. Oh yeah, look at that, first try. So which way is it gotta go? Okay, we're gonna pull it towards us, right? No, that would be tightening it. Gotta push it away from us. You know what, let me put my gloves on, because if that were to slip, I feel like I'm gonna smash my knuckle. Oh, she's tight like a tiger. All right, what do we do here? What do we do? There we go, it's broken free. Not too bad, just a few whacks with a hammer. All right, so let me back off the nut. I'm not gonna completely remove it. I'm just gonna leave a few threads engaged, and then we'll start wailing on the knuckle, and hopefully it breaks its bond from the ball joint. So I'm gonna use the pickle fork attachment for my air hammer. I don't normally use this tool, so I figure, you know what, why not? Let's give it a shot, see if it works. And guys, I'm on a bit of a time crunch here because I didn't think I had anything scheduled for today, but of course I did schedule something for about an hour, and the customer just said he's gonna be here soon. So I'm hoping that we could at least get the upper control arm replaced. Let's see if we could get it done before he gets here. Now I don't have my air compressor fully charged, but let's see if it has enough salsa to get this job done. Not quite. Let me charge up the air compressor, see if that makes a difference. All right, let's try it again. It's crazy, you could actually see it driving in, but it's not popping. It's already being a pain in the butt, guys. Come on, you know you want to. Maybe if I raise the knuckle a little bit, maybe we're just at a weird angle. Of course, whenever you say, oh, I'm on a time crunch, that's when a car gives you hell, right? Let's try the hammer method and get rid of the air hammer. All right, so I just screwed on the other attachment, as you can see. I just hit this with the hammer. I'm exhausted already. I haven't even done anything. Wonder if I can't fully get the tool in because it's hitting the bottom side of the rivets. So it looked like that's exactly what was going on. The tip of the tool was hitting the bottom of this rivet right here, so we couldn't fully get it in there. So I'm gonna simply just try turning it upside down, and that way it looks like it's not gonna come in contact. That would have been the smart option from the beginning, but hindsight is 20/20, right? I'm exhausted. All right, so I need a different approach here, guys. This thing's really taking it out of me. I think it's safe to assume we're not gonna get this upper control arm before that guy gets here with his other car. Let me just put the wheels back on the truck, get it out the garage, and I'm gonna spray it with some penetrating fluid. It's not gonna do anything, guys. We know it's not, but maybe it'll make me feel a little bit better. So I took the tool out, and on closer inspection, you see this? So this is why it wasn't working, because the tool was actually hitting the knuckle and it wasn't actually being wedged inside of there. So I know you guys are going to tear me up in the comment section for that one. I raised up the knuckle just a little bit more so we could get more of a clear shot, and I'm going to try coming more from the side instead of an angle like this to try to avoid hitting the knuckle right there. You guys are exactly where I need to be. Anyways, we'll try to get this to work. So that looks better. It doesn't look like it's catching that corner anymore. Looks good from here. The tool is not hitting anything that it shouldn't be hitting. Watch this thing just pop right out. Let's give it a few love taps with the hammer. I'm trying to avoid coming from this side. Obviously, I don't want to hit our brand new brake line here. This thing does not want to budge. So this is taking up a ton of time. If it doesn't budge this time, I'm just gonna put the wheel on it, park it back outside, because like I said, I gotta take care of that other car. We'll give it one more try. I even went ahead and put some oil inside of the air hammer. That's how you know you're getting desperate, right? Nope, guys, I'm tired. Let's park it outside. I'll spray it down with some penetrating fluid, even though we all know it's not going to do anything. It'll make me feel a little bit better at least. So it's actually the next day. I got held up yesterday, guys, but we got the truck back in the garage, and I did let some penetrating fluid sit up inside of there. Watch it break free, and all of you guys can say, see, the penetrating fluid is what did it. Yeah, okay. Anyway, I'm going to use a proper tool, and you can see she's a thick boy. Wait, She and boy, you can't use those in the same. Well, you know what? Yeah, you can use them in the same sentence. It's 2023, guys. Anything is possible. So yes, she is a thick boy. Anyway, this is the OEM Tools 25219, and it's actually a hydraulic ball joint press. So you can see you would normally screw in this forcing screw initially, and then once it's nice and tight, you screw in this final screw, and this actually applies hydraulic pressure to the tip of this cone right here. It's a pretty neat tool. It's just kind of bulky, but in order to get this to fit, I have to get the boot out of the way. So I'm gonna go in there with some side cutters and cut off the rubber boot so we could hopefully fit this tool in here. As you can see, I was able to cut the boot off. Got it sitting right there, and it gave me enough clearance to get the tool inside of here. So let's try to crank down on this thing, and hopefully this bad boy will pop now. I'm not gonna lie to you guys, these type of ball joint separators like terrify me. So there's already tension right now, and every time I tighten this thing, it's like just nothing but fear, because the anticipation of the pop is what scares the hell out of me. It's already getting real tight, guys. In case you're wondering what size wrench this is, it's a what's 9 plus 9? 21. Alright, I think there's enough pressure. Let's hit the side of the knuckle right here. Now I'm gonna try to come in from this side, but I don't want to go swinging my hammer over here. Like I said, the brand new brake line. So I'm gonna try to come in here with the air hammer at an angle. Crank down on it a little bit more. I wish it would have just popped because I'm already scared. I'm sure you guys are laughing right now. Like, look at this sissy. All right, some more air hammer. Jeez Louise, come on, just pop already. Can you believe this, guys? Because I can't. It's driving me crazy. I know you're probably thinking, why don't I just use the hydraulic portion of the tool like I just described, but I don't think we're there yet. I still think the normal screw has plenty in it. Let's just be real, guys. I'm scared of using it. So. Oh crap. That scared the hell out of me, but it finally popped, guys. It scared the hell out of me. There you have it, guys. It takes a heavy duty tool like this one. Like I said, this is the 25-219. Pretty heavy duty stuff. I've had some of these where I apply so much pressure to them that like the pin starts to bend or they just straight up snap. I've broken some of these ears off right here. So we finally got the ball joint broken free. And honestly, guys, that took way less time than it did yesterday messing with the pickle fork and the air hammer and all that crap. And don't get me wrong, that stuff normally works. But on an old truck like this, you really do got to pull out your A game on this one. I have to plug in my phone because it's about to die. In the meantime, I'm going to try to remove the two bolts right here that hold the control arm to the frame, and hopefully they're not seized inside the bushing. So I'm going to say my prayers to baby Jesus. So just a short update, as you can see, the upper control arm is still in place. I found that this bolt right here is pretty tight, but this one over here was actually very loose. It just started spinning inside the bushing. I guess that's a good thing. That means it's going to come out. It's not seized. And this one, I don't know yet. I did have to remove the rotor and the brake caliper because once the knuckle completely drops down, it was going to put a lot of stress on our brand new brake hose or any brake hose. So that's why I moved it. It's hung up right here, and you can see there's no stress on the hose at all. One of the next things I wanted to do was get this sensor out of the way, but that looks old, rusty, and crusty. I don't know if I'm going to have any success with this, so I decided to leave it alone, and instead I'm disconnecting it from over here. I just have to remove that one bolt. and the harness could stay with the knuckle. I just want to show you guys how loose this joint is. Now I have not been able to break it free, but you can see how much that's moving. I did not do that. That's how it was when I first got here. Now the thing is, it's not tight inside the joint, but I can't get the bolt to break free from the nut back here. It's actually pretty tight. Even using my breaker bar on this side and holding this side with a wrench, I can't get it to break free. So like any other adult in 2023, instead of facing our problems head on, we're just gonna avoid it. Yep, let's do something else. So I want to try to get this old shock absorber out of here. I grabbed the one from inside the truck and it looks to match up. So let's see if we have better luck right here. Now I do have the lower control arm supported with the floor jack, because at this point I don't know if the shock absorber is the only thing holding up the tension on that torsion bar. So I'm going to be using the Astro Flex Head impact gun, a pneumatic one. This is going to be the 1834 with Astro's stubby short sockets, and I have just enough clearance to get in here. I'm not going to be able to completely back it out with this tool, but I just want to see if I can break it free. So we'll give that a go. It's going to be an 18 mil, it looks like. Okay, so I could see the nut back here spinning. I wasn't sure if this nut was welded onto the actual subframe. Apparently it's not, so I'm gonna have to get a wrench to hold this. All right, so I'm gonna use the open end instead of the box end, because if this nut starts to walk itself out, and as you can see I got my impact gun over here, so I don't want to get stuck between a rock and a hard place. And I just dropped my nut in here. Let's see if I can get my tool out now. Come on, baby. I'm gonna run her back in. That's the trick. Just gonna use my cordless ratchet to get this out of here. And once again, I'm using my stubby sockets from Astro. This is a 3/8 drive. The other one I just showed you on impact gun, that was a 1/2 inch drive. Let's not forget about this bad boy. Okay, so with the shock absorber out of here, now I want to get the upper control arm out. You know, I only hit it a few times and then I realized, hold up, wait a minute, something ain't right here. So don't worry, nothing was damaged. So this makes me feel a lot better about removing the shock absorber first, because yes, it's the nut that needs to come off, not the bolt. That makes more sense, doesn't it? I think the smart thing to do here is to just remove the entire knuckle, since it's like 90% off of the truck already, instead of trying to leave it attached to the tie rod here to get to that ball joint. So we're going to completely remove it. As you can see, I removed the cotter pin from here and I loosened the nut already, but I want to try this tool on my air hammer. So you put the 18 mil socket over it and we're going to hammer that thing in. Hopefully this joint breaks free. Why is it that every ball joint type connection is just completely stuck in place on this truck? Penetrating fluid. No, it doesn't do crap. We might have to go back to that tool that we were using before. Let's try it again. Finally some luck, right? So I'm not replacing this tie rod at the moment, because I'm going to do it when I do the whole steering linkage and all that crap. We're going to do all that together. So for right now, when I put this back on here, I'm going to slather it up with anti-seize to make sure when I actually come in here to replace this, it pops right out. Now we could remove the nut for the axle. And this is going to be your classic, I have no idea. So I put this socket in some like evapor rust, and yeah, it took the rust off, but it also took off the etching of what size it is. So I'm gonna have to figure it out what size it is and then like stamp it in there or something. But I want to use my air tool, this little boy. Let's see if it works. I don't know, I just like using air tools whenever I can. I just like the sound of them. Nothing manlier, right? The electric tools, they just don't got the same sound. They don't do the same thing for me. Oh yeah, that's the sound. Get the washer out of here. Nice and free, just like I like to see it. Alright, looking good. So I needed some time for my phone to charge, so I decided to sandblast the adjustment bolt for the upper control arm. This is what they both started off looking like. You can see how nasty that looks, all the corrosion. And here's what we have now. Just 5 minutes in the sandblaster, nothing crazy, but that's a massive improvement. And of course, I'm gonna spray everything with CRC to protect it from rusting again. So let me go ahead and sandblast this set. There we have it. Both sets are all done. A million times better. And they're gonna go back on the truck nice and smooth. Like I said, I'll cover everything in CRC to make sure it doesn't rust. So let's go ahead and get back to the truck. The only thing left to do is remove the 4 bolts for the lower ball joint. I'm not sure if you have to remove the nuts first. It doesn't look like it. I don't know, we'll figure it out. All right, so I got the 3 other bolts out. This is gonna be the last one for the lower ball joint. Just gotta hold the bottom nut with a wrench. Any second now, come on. Oh crap, that's heavy. I was not expecting it to come out that cool. Go ahead and clean up some of this crap that's sitting here. As you can see, I removed the cotter pin and loosened the nut. There's a 24 mil. So we're gonna try the air hammer once again to try to knock this ball joint out. Let me try to stand it straight up as I can. Of course. Please. By the way, this is PB Blaster inside of here. What? Are you kidding me? I know you guys are gonna say, you see, it was the penetrating fluid. That's what did it. It actually works. Ah, guys. I guarantee you, had I not tried the penetrating fluid, it would have came out that second time with the air hammer. I'm gonna get so much crap in the comment section for that. Oh, you see, this stuff does work. Blah, 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 blah. Anyway, it doesn't matter. It's out. You can see this thing is destroyed. So, as you can see, we got our brand new ball joint right here. New hardware. And it even came with a little Zerk fitting to add grease into it right there. Now, I was thinking about this, and I was like, what's the easier way to do this? To put the ball joint on the knuckle, or to put it on the lower control arm first? And I think it's way easier to do the control arm. So let's go ahead and knock that out. So I got the new ball joint installed. It's all torqued down, ready to go. Now, a problem I ran into is the Zerk fitting that came with the ball joint does not thread in right out the package. There is something wrong with these threads. I've tried for like 5-10 minutes, and no matter what I do, it will not thread in. And I don't want to force it or try to run it in with an impact gun, because clearly the damage is right here and I don't want to mess that up. So all I simply did was I went over to the old upper control arm right there, and it had a Zerk fitting on it. I took it off, and look at this. Threads in nicely, no problems at all. So I'll torque that down. And if you're wondering, how do you know that this Zerk fitting actually works and it's not like clogged up because it's old? Well, I'll show you some footage of me testing it before I put it on. All right, so this is pretty much good to go. As you can see, I got my grease gun connected to it. Just gonna go ahead and give it a few pumps of grease, only because it's super easy to do it right now. And I could already see the rubber boot starting to expand, so we are done here and looks real good. What's funny is the problem that I ran into with this, with it not wanting to thread in, someone else would have just threw it out and said, oh, forget it. You get what I'm saying? Which is the worst thing you could do. You're probably better off forcing it in, cross-threading it, and at least it's in place and you get to add grease. Honestly, that's better than just throwing it away and say, ah, forget it, we don't need that thing. Because once water gets in there, it's going to destroy that ball joint. As you can see, the lower nut is all torqued down, and I even installed the cotter pin, so that's all set. Before I put the CV shaft into the wheel bearing, I'm just going to apply some grease onto the splines right here. It's just a good idea to ensure that in the future it doesn't get seized, and it comes out pretty easy the next time it needs servicing. Now let's go ahead and line this up. Nice. All right, so here goes the control arm for the front left side. Let's give it a few love taps to pop it into place. First of all, let's use a tapered punch to try to line everything up. And here goes the bolts that I sandblasted. You can see they got like this goop on them. That's a CRC. So I already sprayed everything down. So yes, everything got covered in CRC, as you can see, even the nut. And once I'm done torquing everything down, I'm gonna spray it once again. But it's so nice to have everything sandblasted, because look how nicely the nut just threads down, like everything were brand new. No issues at all. Here goes the other nut, and you can see how nicely this one goes on. And of course, I'm not going to torque any of this stuff down right now because the suspension isn't loaded and we don't want to damage the bushing. Once I get everything assembled, I'm going to lift from the lower control arm and just lift it up high enough until the car comes off of the jack stand, signifying that the weight of the vehicle is on this side of the suspension. And then we could torque all this stuff down. Now we can put in the shock absorber. I'm going to set the bottom side in first. If I remember correctly, the bolt came in from this side. Put the nut on it loosely. Alright, so as you can see, we don't have much to go until this lines up. That's probably like 2 inches, maybe 1.5 inches. So what I'm going to do is attempt to cut the retainer string, or whatever you want to call it, the cord, and see if we can pop in the bolt just at the right time. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I'm gonna try. Oh, that was very uneventful. It's coming up very slowly, which works out for us. There we go. Now we can get this thing out of here. This is another one of those parts that I don't want to torque down until the suspension is loaded, so I'm gonna leave this like that for now. All right, now we could try to get the upper ball joints to go into the knuckle. Of course. The nightmare is taking everything apart, but once you get everything apart and things are cleaned, all the new parts just fall right into place. So that's where we're at. We are past the hump. Everything is downhill from here. Let me go ahead and torque down this nut. This is one thing I can torque down right now. All right, so I'm just gonna go ahead and run the sensor right now while it's super easy. Barely an inconvenience. There you have it. The upper ball joint is all torqued down. You could even see the cotter pin is installed. Now we can grab our rotor, get this thing put back into place. We'll get the caliper and pop that on. She is looking real good. As you can see, I got the caliper mounted, got the axle nut torqued down, And just by feeling this thing by hand, it already feels way better. You could tell the ball joints are good. They're not loose and sloppy how they were before. So I'm gonna go ahead and pop the wheel on it. Well, of course, I gotta connect the outer tie rod first. But once I pop the wheel on it, we'll do a before and after so you can see how much less the wheel is gonna shake. Now, of course, we're still gonna have a little bit of left to right shaking, only because this tie rod is bad and we're not changing it right now. I am going to change it, but that'll be in a separate video. All right, so everything is reconnected. And I put my floor jack underneath the lower control arm to lift up this side, just how I said I was going to do when I load the suspension. And I lifted it high enough, just enough to get it off of the jack stand. I don't know if you guys can tell, but it's no longer resting on that jack stand. And now I could go ahead and torque all of this stuff down. Oh, and one more thing, since the nuts have to be torqued down and they're on the inside, which they can be difficult to get to, a super easy thing to do is just remove the shock, pull it back, and then you got good access inside of here to torque these down. All right, so it's a moment of truth. Let's go ahead and test it. Like I said, there's going to be a little bit of left to right movement because of the bad tie rods, but it's already significantly better than it was before. Let's try up and down. Nothing at all, rock solid. Very nice. So that little bit of play will get taken care of once we do all of the center link and the tie rods and all that crap. I'm gonna have to go ahead and do the front right side. Yes, I have to do all of that still. Guys, I think that's gonna be it. So just like Bud Light's reputation, this video is over. Thanks for watching.